All right, we're ready to roll.
Well, let me start.
Yep.
Everything okay? Now, this is the actually my project here at this university is Ignitism. We try to build an international students program. We don't have international students program here at Garda Web. Actually, we have international student services office, and we need to do more than that office.
Yeah.
So the project is to build an international students program at Garda Web University to improve recruitment and support services. That's the goal, maybe. If we answer the two questions for this project, we will try to fix what we have, the issues here. Why there are limited number of international students at Garda Web University. Here, maybe we can go deeply to the location, maybe because we have around this university too many high-ranking university or public universities. Maybe the problem is the budget. It's maybe money problem. But for international students, because they pay in and out states tuition, the money should be not the problem. There's something else. Because if I'm doing my degree in, for example, in UCC, I have to pay the in and out as international students. So the money, the tuition and the fees, it's the same for private or public schools among the international students. And what the university can do to attract more international students. So if we answer the question number one, why we have limited number, we can do something in the future to attract more international students. And here, actually we have here maybe less than 100 international students in this university. Some of them at Charlotte, some of them here. I'm just here taking a snapshot from my survey among these international students to collect some data. So we have to know why we have a limited number of international students here. And actually all of these, most of the international students here, they came for sports, they came for something else, they came actually for scholarships. So here the question, when you see this as international students, you have to pick one of these. What information could Garda Web University have provided that would have helped you transition to the university? Maybe the problem is the admission, maybe the problem is the requirements, like the visa or a costs or something else. Maybe the living, the environment here, housing, maybe about US lifestyle, culture, or customs, something else. Maybe they need more information about the tuition, maybe more information, they need to provide more information on their homepage and more online information about international students at Garda Web. Actually, the website for Garda Web is not that website for not just international students, for anyone here. It's difficult even to find our program.
True.
It's difficult to find it. You have to Google it in order to find it. And when you Google it, you will find actually the old process, not the new one. what's the benefits? When we try to apply this project, we need to get some benefits behind this project. This project is going to improve the quality of services than on campus. Here we have international office services, but they do nothing, actually. They have nothing to do. And if you open it and if you Google it and they try to find something under the website and go through that, you will find nothing. Not just any, there's no information at all. Not good or valid, there's no information. So we have to improve that to make it valuable for the students. And also we will create a map for the future to follow up. Follow up is important for international students because when they came to this university, they can transfer to another university. So you have to follow up the international students here. Even the American students, many of them, they transfer to another universities for many reasons. And on the successful way to better education for international students by understanding their needs. So I believe when we understand the needs for the students, we can follow up them. And also the project is a result of attracting more international students, means more money, drawing a way to build a unique financial environment as a new resource for Garda Webb University, which is important. What we have to do. This is just the ideas, and now we have to do something on the real life. We have to improve the existing services, creating new services. Like what? We will see later. For example, we have international office service. We have to do something for this to make it real services, or what they really need as international students to find here. And also we need to do some marketing. And the university here should do to attract more international students, marketing for international or even for local students. You have to provide your website, to do something with your website. Your website, it's difficult to deal with. And phase 3, the evaluation for the project, which is very important to know if we are in the right track. Here, what we have to do. Building an international students program like what? The international students program, we can maybe divide this into 4 units. We have to build English Academy, and under English Academy, we will find 2 things, 2 important things actually. It's like courses, college choices. And to make this is important for the students, we should give a power for that course, 1 hour. So it will be count with your GPA, which is very important for that. And University 111, there's a course here, University 111, and this is actually very nice course for students here, but it's like a useless for international students because they need another information about the status, about many things here in America, rather than know many things about financial aid. And also we need to build office of international admissions, which is very important to deal directly with the international students. And here you need to have some workers, some employees, they can talk more than 1 language. And also Office of International Services. And this, if the Office of International Admissions deal with the students overseas, the international services deal with them while they already here in America. When when they came here, we have to pick up them from the airport and take them to the university. And also we can build a mutual international programs like a master degree in leadership studies. And I'm already talked with the University of Jordan and another universities around the world, and they are the idea to build international programs like a master degree in leadership studies between this university and other universities. And why master degree? Because it's maybe you can finish it in 1.5 years. You can study, for example, 2 semesters here and 2 semesters overseas. We will see exchange students and exchange between the professors also. There's some facts about Garda Web, like 4,500 students they already applied for the university, almost 3,000 they get admitted, but the 400 enrolled, which is the percentage here less than 17%. So our goal in this project to increase this rate to 35%. I didn't find any data for international students. Actually, many students, when you told them about this program or something else, when they see just the website, they thought it's difficult to find the EDD program. It's difficult to find it online. So we have to know, in order to make this truth and to build this program, we have to know what we have, what's the inputs, the tools. And after that, we have to go through the process, what we have to do. In campus here or out campus. I mean, out campus for marketing and for online services. And in campus here about services. And the outputs here will be to follow up the students and to get the benefits, to get the job done. The inputs here, what we have to do, we have to maybe to hire or to have international students services coordinator. And this job, you have to, it's like a link between the university and agencies overseas, which is a kind of marketing, and it's a business. How to bring international students to this university, not just from outside America, also you can transfer some students from other universities, like UNCC, like many universities around us. And we need ESL teachers, maybe 1 or 2. And we need transportation. We already have vans here, and the drivers, it's not that big deal. We don't have to, for example, to hire new drivers or something. We can have a work-study students, and they can drive these vans. And the housing is already here. Meals is already here. It's already here. And we need to have good and valid information about the university and the website in multiple languages. And here, why good and valid? This is very important. I'm just mentioned many times about good information. It's not enough to make a decision. You should have a good and valid information. Like what? Good information. When you tell me Garda Web University is a private university in North Carolina, it's close to South Carolina, it's close to Shelby, this is good information. But valid information, you have to go deeply how to, for example, it's close to Charlotte, and in order to, what about the transportation, what about all of this information, you have to put it in on your website, to make it valid, not just too many information which like make a mess or something. Now the process in the US, we have actually to sign some agreements with the institutions like these. I'm not sure why Garda Web is still, and so when I talk with them about this, they don't know about these institutions in America, like ELS, language centers. This is very famous here in America, and this is a huge, actually, and expensive centers. They are specialists for ESL. And also Language Systems International. This is another institution. What they do here, what these institutions do, they already have international students in their campuses, just for English. And after that, they have to transfer to another universities for undergrad or grad or another degrees. So also there's another which is a huge here in America, it's Saudi Arabian Cultural Mission to the US, and they use SACN. And this is very huge here. It's maybe 200,000 students under this institute here in America, and there is a clubs everywhere. There is a clubs. So the coordinator here, his or her job to contact all of these institutions in order to transfer their students to this university. So they should sign some agreements with them. Overseas, there's too many options, but actually we have ready one, which is the China Office for English Language, the New Vision. And they offer like 500 students from China to come here in some years. Maybe in 1 or 2 years, they want to transfer some like 500 students. And now the university here, they study this. And they told me maybe we will accept them in Charlotte campus, but the Chinese, they prefer the little towns. Most of these Chinese will come from Shanghai and like big cities, and they like to stay for 1 year in little towns. So I'm not sure if they accept that, because the Chinese office, for them it's business. If this university say no, or we have this, and or maybe they have some ideas, maybe that office will transfer these students to another university. And there's another option, the Oval Office for Studies and Research, and this is very famous one. And they have a branch here in Texas and in London, in Australia, in Sydney, in Dubai, in many places. This is the benefits, this is estimated benefits for just 1 year. If we apply just the ESL, not the undergrad or something else. If we apply just the ESL for 300 students, 100 students every semester, we will have at least $6.5 million, just the benefits behind that. And we will hire we can hire just 1 or 2 ESL teachers, and maybe we don't need to hire anyone, because we already have a professor here and his major is about ESL. So maybe we need another teacher for this, because international students, they should work, they should study 4 hours every day. So you can, for example, have you can have them in 3 parts or more than 3 parts, 8 to 12, 12 to 4, 4 to 8. So you can do that. So you don't have to bring all of them same time. And also you will have maybe this is in level 1, this is 2, this is foundation, this is like this. So it's easy. We need to build ESL, English for a Second Language. We need to make the conditional admission real here. Even many universities, they use this. Conditional admission means I will accept you if you pass this, if you do that. It's a guarantee acceptance letter if you pass the TOEFL, or if you get 5 in IELTS or something else. And also they need to build or to create like a test centers here at Garda Web for TOEFL, for IELTS, and GRE, not just MAT. They need GRE and also GMAT, actually. GMAT is more important more than GRE because they have business here. But they need to build centers here for that. So you don't have to drive to Charlotte in order to take this exam, this test. And also the ability to talk in multiple languages, it's very important in the international office. If you go through the American universities, you will find in international office, some people, they can talk more than one language. It's not just one language. And also willing to pick up from the airport. And the drivers will be the students too. And if you go to UNCC, they provide this service. Even Harvard, they provide this service. It's everywhere except Garda Web. And this is actually something very important to deal with. This is not important now to create international committee from the faculty members. This is not important now. And also this is not important, but this is like a kind of, we care about you, building an ambassadors for the students. And you have to share the students, other international students' stories or pictures on the website. You have to put that on the website. And you must have connections, interactions between the international students themselves, by events, by parties, by trips, by all of these things. Actually, I did mention about the digest for the students and students, for Garda Web students, and a digest specialist for international students every week. And for that, for students, it will be every day at 10 a.m., for example, or 11 a.m. You should have received an email tell you about the public events, about the Garda Web events, about Tucker Center events, about all of these things. And also the students, they need shuttle service to Walmart, to DMV, to health department. It's maybe just think about this situation. Somebody left his family in Florida, not from China or somewhere else, and came to this university. How to go to Walmart or DMV or health department? There is no transportation at all, and there is no taxi driver. And if you want to call the yellow cab or something like that, they will come from Gaffney, South Carolina, and to go to Walmart and back, maybe they will charge you $100 for that. So it's like a big place, and you will put the students here and they stuck here. And it's difficult to find the friends from the first day. You need to do something for them. And also health insurance. There is no health insurance for the families of international students. And the NC state, and this is very, very important to provide this information on website. If you bring your wife, or like me, I cannot buy insurance for her. I can't. So what I have to do? The university, they cannot provide this insurance, and the NC law, I'm not allowed to buy insurance for her. So what I have to do? So this is a big problem. Other universities, they provide health insurance for the students and their families. Because you already give me, which is the F1, a student's visa, and F2. You already give me F2. Why you give me F2 and you cannot give me the insurance? You should give both of them. Also, they need activities. This is more details about Unit 111. What you have to do, you have to focus more about the international students' need. You have to what they can do, what they cannot do as a students belong to Gardner Webb University, which is the code of ethics of Gardner Webb University, the identity. You have to talk about that. And you have to let them know their responsibilities, their rights, and meaning of international. What's that mean? Which is actually Dr. Lam talked about the process rationale. You have to know the federal law, the state law, all of these laws. It's very important for you how to adjust in American college life. And also, like what I mentioned about the law, what you have to do, what's legal, what's illegal. And what's the GPA in China or in somewhere else? GPA is completely different. It's even between the universities here in America. Some provide A, B, C. Some provide A minus, A plus, B plus, like these things. So you have somebody to tell you what's the grade point average. And what's the meaning of diversity or academia or Gardner Webb? What's Gardner Webb as an organization? And college choices, it's like a bridge course between ESL and the students major. We already talked about this, but this is more details. And the last things with this project is the evaluation process. The O's here, it's like semesters, maybe years, maybe it depends about your project. And the X, it's the treatment when you apply this and to try to compare after and before to improve what you have. Any questions?
Yes, I do. I have a couple of questions. Haseem. Program is, your presentation is wonderful. Have you checked to see if there are any grant funded programs that are out there for students that's coming internationally?
From the university here?
Well, just going out there and just researching and see if there were any type of scholarships or grants or anything for students that can come to the United States to get an education. I don't know if I'm not sure if there are, but I was just asking, did you do any research on that?
No, for the grants, there's, for example, I can apply for a grant from my government as international students or from any university in Jordan.
Okay.
But you have to sign agreement with the university. When you finish your degree here, you have to back and to work for them for 8 years, for example. That's the process for Jordan. But the problem in Jordan, they will give you the salary will be the minimum wage, which is not good deal. So to study on your own is much better than to be part of that university. But for example, in South Korea, I had a friend. He's from South Korea, and the government provide like $70,000 yearly for the master degree to come here to America to get business administration or public administration. At that time, he did a public administration, and they back. They give him like $150,000 in 2 years.
Oh, okay.
But for ESL, it's difficult to find a grant, even if you belongs to rich country. It's difficult. But for undergrad, Maybe it's not that difficult, but for master it will become more easy. For doctoral program, it's more easy.
Okay, gotcha. One more question.
Yeah.
Have you looked at, I know that you want to bring these students here to the United States, you know, to go to school at Garden. But have you also considered maybe doing an online program that they can just do from home? And the reason why I'm saying this
Yeah.
is because we are getting ready to offer the Doctor of Physical Therapy.
Yeah.
And we've got students from all across the country. We got some from China, Italy, Japan that are getting into our doctorate program because they already are state certified in physical therapy. Only thing they want is the doctorate. So as long as they are certified in that field, they came into the program. And we got them all across. It's international as well. So have you thought about DL, distance learning?
Yeah. Now let me tell you two things very important for you. Now, for example, there is a link between American universities and Canadian universities and British universities and the Middle East, for example, universities. For example, don't worry about Japan and China because they have another education system. Now, if you want to work in Jordan or in Dubai or as American, you have to get the recognition of your certificate from these institutions, which is located in Washington, D.C. And they should recognize your degree, your certificate as on-campus certificate. If you receive your certificate online, it will become nothing. It will become not a degree at all.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, online education now. You can have, for example, not a degree, maybe a certificate from Harvard or Stanford. It's easy, and it's not that too much money you have to pay. For example, Stanford, they provide a certificate in management and less than $3,000. But this is nothing. Even the power of the online certificate, even here in America, if you have a PhD or EDD or DBA online, it's not that power. It's powerless.
Well, I have to differ from you with that, but I will discuss that when I present.
Yeah, that's the problem. The problem, they will not recognize your degree as a degree.
And then just to piggyback on that, Hazim, I think most international students come to the United States for an education so they can get the entire experience of going to college in America. Now, if they do online school, they may as well just stay in our own country and do it, as opposed to coming to the United States just to take online classes.
Yeah, maybe the online classes, maybe it's fine for human courses, but it's not fine for engineering, for medical, for most of the international students. They came for engineering, they came for medical majors, for something else. Maybe it's fine to do maybe business online. It's fine to do some philosophy online, but it's difficult to do something in nature majors like biology, like all of physics, math online.
Yeah, because I don't want a doctor working on me. They got his doctor of medicine from online.
One day I call Nova. It's Nova, Southern Nova University. It's in Florida. And they have a PhD in conflict resolution. And at that time, it's online. I talk with them. Did you hire any PhD students? They already finished their PhD from your university? or online PhD, they will not hire their students. So if you teach me, give me a PhD certificate in conflict resolution, and you cannot recognize your certificate as to be like a professor in your institute, how to trust your university?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem. They will give you the online certificates, and they will not hire you because that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to their, for example, their faculty members, all of them, they receive their doctorate on campus. So this is the main problem. But maybe in 20 years from now, we will see no universities anymore. We will see just online. Just online.
Awesome. Great presentation. Thank you.
Very good.
Questions?
Somebody have a clock in their house to go up every 15 minutes.
No, that's the bell tower right behind the Zoom there on campus.
I will
Oh,
start
okay.
using this, so you cannot hear me, but I can hear you.
Okay.
So you will not hear any noise around me.
Mm-hmm.
So no questions.
No, I have let's see, you still got the control. Let me see.
I can go next.
No, this will stop those. Yes.
You want me stop the share? I can.
Yeah, stop your share.
Yeah.
All right, Pat, you can start sharing your screen now.
Okay.
All right.
Previous name DHS Kelly, White House.
There we go.
Okay. Can you guys see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My project, I am applying the tools of qualitative and quantitative evaluation, and I'm going to talk with you about the partnership between Winston-Salem State University Continuing Education and ProTrain LLC, which is an online institution that we're going to do a partnership with. Now, let's see. Great. Okay. All right. Now, the purpose of this project is to look at career-long learning as a concept in professional discipline, such as allied health courses at Winston-Salem State University Division of Continuing Education. Now, we all know that there is a shortage of nurses, especially in some areas of practice, which has stimulated the need for in-depth education and training in specific knowledge content areas. Now, one approach to career-long learning is certificate programs. So this is where me and you, Haseen, we're going to differ at, because career-long learning is the heart of professional discipline today, and nursing is no exception. The highest degree a professional nurse holds is not the end of learning. In fact, I think academic degrees in nursing probably should come with some maintenance contracts, because every once in a while, they need to be periodically tuned up and upgraded. In other words, they need to go out and get more experience and get more education in certain areas. So career-long learning must be planned, it needs to be nurtured and managed by individual nurses, but it also needs to be encouraged and supported by their employer. So a certificate program can be a single course or a linked series of credit or non-credit courses that constitutes a coherent body of study in a discipline. However, some ideas of the factors, trends, and strategies to consider when creating a certificate programs are reviewed, and guidelines for developing certificate programs are presented. So the primary mission of continuing education is to enhance the personal and professional lives of people of all ages and increase their access to social economic opportunities by offering innovative non-credit programs in alternative delivery methods. So here is one of my certificate requirements. Rigor. The rigor will be determined at the institutional level, but it will follow a standardized process. Attendance-only classes will not qualify for the training certificate category. In other words, when we partner with ProTrain, the classes that they provide to us will be strictly online. We hope in the near future that if we can get enough students interested, that they can come in and do classroom training. But for right now, it is strictly online. In order to qualify for a training certificate, there must be an assessment of measurable outcomes or a mastery of learning and knowledge. Now, the assessment includes, but are not limited to, quizzes, exams, written assignments, participation, projects, or activities or demonstrations of skill. The rigor must be modeled on national education and industry training benchmark. Now, as you can see here, this is what I just talked about. So you see the quizzes and exams, the written assignments, projects, activities, demonstration of skills. But when you go around, you also see the assessment results and the use of those results. So here's the approval that ProTrain has to do in order for them to meet our needs. ProTrain must validate educational standards prior to submission of certificate application. In other words, if a student, or let's say if a potential student goes through our website, goes through continuing education, and go through ProTrain to pick a non-credit certificate program, we are requesting that that student have a high school diploma. So they have to make sure during that certificate application that that student has that. There must be a classification of instructional programs. CIP codes is identified. Every program should have a CIP code so that when we get reports from ProTrain, we will know the student and the program that they're in based on the CIP code. Certificate encompasses a minimum of 18 hours of instruction up to a maximum of 1,500 hours of instruction. They have programs, they have a certificate program that you can get a certificate in just 18 credit hours. And if they meet the qualifications and they've done the 18 credit hours based on the reports that ProTrain sends to us, and those reports are called progress reports. We would get them daily, weekly, or monthly, depending on how the student goes out there and do the program. Some students go out there and do the program every day. Some might go out there once a week and work on their program. But whenever they go out there, they have to send us a progress report where it needs to show, it will tell us as well how that student is doing and where they're at in the process. All the courses will be non-credit. Continuing education don't want to have to go through North Carolina Approving Agency to approve any courses. We want all the courses non-credit. Courses must include an assessment of measurable outcome of mastery of learning and knowledge. Certificates shall be created as per Winston-Salem State University enrollment policy, which means that if you are in the program and you finish the program, that you will get your certificate and it will state that you did certified, let's say that you did CNA, okay, a nursing assistant, then your certificate will have Winston-Salem State, the logo, the certificate will come from us, but you get the program through ProTrain. That's the partnership. College receives approval from the state after offering the certificate. Request for state approval must be submitted to the state within 90 days from the start of the course, which means that some of these programs that ProTrain have includes the state exam. So not only will you get a certificate, but you'll also get a certification, which includes, like I said, the state exam. So ProTrain has to make sure that if you're going into one of their programs that includes a state exam, then she submits that the ProTrain submits that information 90 days from the start of the course. Certificate programs have become more popular in recent years because they offer a way to advance your skills and careers without spending the time and money to obtain a degree. Typically, it takes 4 years to earn a bachelor and it takes 2 years to earn an associate. But with a certificate program, you can complete it in 1 year or less. So also, certificate programs are often aware of the changes in the job market, and they are geared toward industries with strong demand for workers. And I checked, and when I did my research, Quincy College is adding a new certificate program in biotechnology and compliance to help meet the workforce needs of growing biomedical and pharmaceutical industries. So even though the need for certificate program is rising, continuing education providers should be wary of any new program without careful planning. If a certificate program is well implemented, it can be successful, but it takes considerable time and investment. The strength of continuing education should match with the content of the certificate program that are being offered. In other words, we have a strong nursing, school of nursing. It's strong, okay? Continuing education needs to line up some continuing education courses in allied health to go with our nursing program. So that if these nurses decide that they want to increase their skills in other areas, they'll be able to do that. As part of my consultancy project, I looked at several online schools for continuing education to have a strategic partnership. And the school I chose to partner with continuing education is ProTrain LLC. Now this is Betty Gardner. She used to be a director at NC State University in their continuing education program. She saw the need, she saw the need. She saw that back in the late 1990s, certificate programs were really getting strong. And so what she wanted to do was she wanted to tap into that. So in 2004, she created ProTrain. She is a woman-owned small business. I mean, she started doing partnerships 12 years ago, and now she has over 180 school partners across the United States. And I love her mission statement. She says ProTrain LLC is dedicated to quality educational services at an affordable cost in the classroom or online, ensuring success in the workforce through the active engagement of direct relationships with universities, community colleges, educational entities, corporations, nonprofits, and the military community throughout the United States and internationally. So we looked at a lot of her allied health programs, certificate programs, and certification programs. And I'm just listing a few. But these are the ones that I listed here: advanced coding for the physician's office, advanced hospital coding, and certified coding specialist, medical billing and coding careers, certified nursing assistant, basic computer literacy for allied health, healthcare professionals' perspective to learn more on HIV and AIDS, home health assistant careers, and the legal nurse consultant certificate program. These programs that I have here, these are the certification programs. These programs, you have to take the state exam to be certified. So I only chose one to look at to do my projection on, and I decided to do it on the legal nurse consultant certificate program. A legal nurse consultant is a registered nurse who uses existing expertise as a healthcare professional, plus they specialize legal nurse consultant training to consult on medical related cases. Legal nurse consultants work closely with attorneys in the United States as the nursing and healthcare system expert on the litigation team. They make approximately $150 an hour by working with a law firm. So if Winston-Salem State University Continuing Education Program registered 25 students for the fall term of 2018 with an increase of 10% each semester, and I'm not even including summer school, for the next 10 semesters, which is 5 years, times the cost of the program, continuing education will receive 18% of the cost of tuition paid to ProTrain, which is revenues generated by the partnership. So if you look at my 5-year projection, I'm starting with fall 2018, and during the projection, as you can see, the numbers are increasing. The project enrollment, it is increasing by 10% each semester. But this course includes tuition and fees. It also includes your material for the program, and it includes a laptop. So that $39.99 includes, like I said, all of these things. If we had 25 students to go ahead on, go through Winston-Salem State, click on continuing education, go through ProTrain and pick this program, then they would pay the $39.99. ProTrain will pay us 18%, and our revenue just on those 25. We haven't done anything, guys. The only thing they did was they went through our website, the continuing education website, went through our website to go into to cover, because we're going to have it advertised that, hey, we got this great certification programs and certificate programs. Please check us out. They go in, they check it out, they see what they want this one, they click on it, and because they clicked on it, we get 18% of that $39.99. So 25, just by going through our website, with net of $17,995.50. And by the spring of 2023, that figure, just for this one course, can be $49,667.58. So ProTrain LLC will pay continuing education an 18% partnership fee for each student that register on the website. This fee would include a certificate of completion from Winston-Salem State University for each student that completes the program. Total revenues is $1,747,563 times 18%, which is equal to $314,561.34 projected for 5 years just for this one program. As Winston-Salem State University Continuing Education Program grows in the area of career long learning, we are excited to partner with ProTrain in certification and certificate programs. As the collaboration is formed in continuing education, it will generate increased revenues for non-credit programs. Continuing education will look at other certificate programs to partner with ProTrain to help serve the community, because we are a liberal arts college. So we have justice studies, and we've got social work, and so she also have certificate programs and certification programs in those areas. So we're looking at doing some serious partnership with them in the future. So after Dr. Lamb, what I did was I presented this presentation to the advisory board at Winston-Salem State University. And so after I presented this, what I did was I sent them a survey to ask them what they thought. So here was the question: how relevant is the material to your role in the partnership? Because out of the 10 people that's on the advisory board, 6 of them will be affected with the partnership. How clear was the presentation of information? How do you feel about the amount of information presented to you on the partnership? How engaging was your presenter? And you guys know me, so you know I gave it all I had.
I'm sure.
How would you rate your presenter's knowledge of the material? And how clear are you on the takeaways from the presentation? And number 7, how likely is it that you would recommend ProTrain LLC as a strategic partner with Winston-Salem State University continuing education program? And so I pretty much did like you when we talked about Dr. Lamb and class, you just should not have that middle piece, that NA. You either like it or you don't like it.
That's right.
And that's the way how I want it. You're either extremely clear or you're not so clear.
But much better quality of information.
Exactly. And then my last question, because I only did 8 questions. Do you have any other comment, questions, or concerns? Well, let me tell you guys something. They were so hungry for continuing education to grow that they just ran with my project. They ran with it. They wanted me, they all agreed that they wanted to talk with ProTrain personally. They want to interview them, actually talk with them, look at the programs that they have and all of this. So I made the call to Miss Gardner and her first in command or second in command. They came and they did the presentation, and we have them on our website. Whether it's making any money right now because they haven't done anything, they haven't done the big, I was hoping that they'd go ahead on to do the big fancy website to show, hey, we got this new non-credit, programs, and please check us out. And they haven't done any of that yet. And from what I understand is they're not going to do anything yet for the simple reason is that they're going to make some changes in the department. And I don't know if they're going to get rid of the director and the assistant director and the program director. I don't know what they're going to do, but that department has not made money in 3 years. So there are going to be some changes, but at least they do have ProTrain on their website. So that's a good thing. And that's it for me. And these are my references. Or any questions?
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Good job, Pat.
Thank you.
We are proud of you. That we are proud of you.
Good job, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? I'll go next.
All right.
Barbara's.
Hey.
Can y'all see that?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Hang on. Now can you see that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yay!
Yay.
There we go. Okay, I took a very different approach, you guys, because I didn't want to bore you to death. And so I took this as an opportunity to learn how to do data, which I want you to know, Dr. Lamb, I have taken statistics and courses several times before in my career. And this is the first time that I've ever actually had to apply it, and it's a whole lot harder than it looks.
Yeah, it is.
And so I made my first attempt at doing that. I am working with a nonprofit, y'all know, the Abuse Prevention Council here in Shelby. And so part of the work that I'm doing is to help them with board development. But this gave me an opportunity to educate my board members at the same time that I was, getting some data that I needed for my class, at the same time giving me a little bit of cushion to be able to say everybody had their say, everybody had an input into this process so that people wouldn't feel like they were being left out. So I was interested in figuring out what is an effective nonprofit board, what does it look like, and how do you assess where you are so that you can figure out where you need to go. So that's what my project was on. There's a lot of research on corporate boards and boards where people are paid to be on them. But in nonprofits, because they are non-paid positions the majority of time and are based with volunteers, defining what makes an effective board and canning that so that you could give it out to everybody who wants to have an effective board is really difficult to do, because there's a lot of different measurements, a lot of different standards that people place on them, and not all of those are measurable or necessarily skill-based. The research, though, on effective nonprofit boards says that some of the dynamics that create an effective board have to do with the way that they are created, and the intentional process that board members go through in identifying what they need on the board, what kinds of strengths do they need, by also purposefully going out and asking people that can benefit the organization to come and join and be passionate about this particular nonprofit. And it has to be an ongoing process because the nature of the fact that the majority of them are volunteers. And I might say that the majority of people who can volunteer also are not working or full-time employed or have young children. I mean, the population of volunteers then becomes part of your issue in trying to create an effective board. Overall, board effectiveness has been associated with good board development practices, specifically recruiting and preparing potential members, orientation on the roles and the functions of the members, and then specific roles and duties that new board members are going to be expected to do. It's kind of like if you need to market yourself so that people know what they're getting themselves into before they sign up to be on a board. I decided that the best way to do that was to utilize my board members and ask them to do both a quantitative and a qualitative analysis, and then see how close they were and how specific the qualitative could be in helping the board to articulate in measurable ways what some of the problems are with this board. All the members of the Abuse Prevention Council Board of Directors and the Executive Director were asked to complete the 2 surveys that were given. The first survey was the Margaret Casey Foundation Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool. And it's a self-assessment. It's an online web-based questionnaire that helps them to identify their capacities and their strengths and their challenges in different categories. And then we used a SWOT, I don't know how you pronounce that, analysis tool to assess strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that the organization faces. The quantitative measure, which was the Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool, ranks, there are 4 dimensions and there's questions under each of the dimensions, and then you rank them in a level from 1 to 4. 1 being minimal to you're not doing that activity at all, to 4 you're like the best nonprofit that's ever lived and y'all have perfect board members who give you millions of dollars every year, and fundraising is a couple of people making a couple of phone calls. So, it's sort of from doing nothing to being great. Where are you on that scale? It's a 59-item questionnaire that measures specific elements, different criteria in the 4 areas, which are leadership, adaptiveness, management, and operational. It used to be called technology, but they changed that to operational because it has a little bit broader things than y'all have computers and you're hooked up to the internet. And you can go from very little capacity to extensive capacity. And then each board member chose that, and it recorded them. My findings indicated that in 3 of the categories, leadership dimension, adaptive dimension, and management dimension, there was very little difference in the score. And they were almost to 2 or 3 out of 4 levels. So they were doing a lot right, but still had a little bit of ways to go. The lowest scoring area was the operational capacity. And within that operational capacity, I analyzed what were the lowest scores in that. I also analyzed the 59 questions to see among all the different board members how they scored that and what was the average score for each. And these are the top 9, I think there's 9. Yeah, the top 9 scoring items that that organization got. And note that in 3 cases, they got 4s, which means that it was scored a 4 by every single board member and the executive director. This is what we do well, and we know we do well. And then there was a gap after 3.4. I think it dropped to like a 3.2 or 3.1. So this was sort of a good cutting off place to look at top scores versus bottom scores. When I looked at the operational capacity averages, that's just in the category of operational capacity. There were 13 questions, and you can see that not all of them scored low, but there were several that had pretty low scores. And then the 10 lowest scores, when I analyzed those for across 59 items, note that the bottom 5, 4 of them are in the operational category. So there's definitely issues having to do with the way that the organization and the board operates on a daily basis. It also should be noted that the lowest score, which was a 1.2, which was in category 4, which is buildings and office space, was ranked the lowest by the board. And that's because our facilities are woefully inadequate, and we have just completed a huge fundraising process for the last 5 years, and our building will be complete October the 1st. And so all of our facilities are going to be consolidated, and we'll all be under one roof for the first time since 1985. So that's kind of exciting. And then the other bottom numbers, notice out of those bottom ones, the majority of them are in category 4, and all of them have something to do with fundraising, a funding model, and board involvement. The qualitative measure that I used was a SWOT, and it's a self-assessment designed to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats facing an organization. And each board member was asked to fill that out. Here's the results of the strengths that they identified, and some of these are opportunities, most of them were strengths. And these were they just listed in the boxes what they thought the strengths of the organization were, and there were the questions that were designed by the SWOT to sort of help you answer those. And this is what we got from the board. It has a very good reputation, it's well known in the community, has a long service record, it's been there since 1985. We just completed a successful capital campaign, and we were able to raise almost $2 million. We have a strong, committed leadership and staff. Our executive director has been there for over 10 years and ranked in the top 5 of our questionnaire as far as the board members' perceptions of her, which are really high. We operate within our mission, and that comes from inside and outside the organization. We have excellent grant writing because the majority of our funding is from grants, as well as state and federal monies that are obtained through a grant. We have our brand new shelter. We have property and assets. We have a shelter right now in downtown Shelby, and we also have administrative offices. We maintain offices at the courthouse as well as at the hospital. And we are planning to sell the shelter and the administrative office buildings, which are some of the older converted homes in downtown Shelby. And then the shelter itself probably should be blown up. It is really awful. Another strength that we all thought we had was that we did a strategic planning process last year, and we identified 5 goals, and we are focused on those. Our weaknesses and threats, there were 24 responses that board members came up with under weaknesses and threats category. And so I took those 24 responses and I sort of put them into categories of what they were referring to, and I came up with 5. The first one was board policies and procedures, and there were 13 statements regarding the way the board functions on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. We had 5 statements about fundraising and the need to do more, and the lack of planful strategic planning of that. Communications, we have a website, but we don't have anybody on staff who's responsible for that, and we don't have anybody on the board who has a strength in that area. And there were several statements about we need to be more visible in the community, we need to have more newspaper articles written about us, just those kinds of things that have to do with communication. The fourth one, there were 4 statements about programming, and that's the actual programs that we provide for domestic violence and sexual assault at the hospital, emergency, on-call, the shelter, those kinds of things. And then the 5th one was perceptions of stakeholders. And there were several statements made about what others think about the Abuse Prevention Council and some of the struggles that the organization has with the fact that it's perceived as a women's organization, and the perception that women are the only people who are abused or sexually assaulted. Further analysis, when I took those 5 categories and narrowed the focus to specifically things that had to do with the board and the board of directors, I came up with 3 categories. That was board oversight responsibilities, everything from the bylaws to strategic planning to programming. The size of the board and the specific expertise needs. We need a lawyer. We need a realtor. We need some other expertise, skill-based knowledge on our board, and we need some people with money. Every nonprofit board needs people with deep pockets, and we need some of those. We also need some involved, committed committees. We don't have any committees, and so it's kind of like a free-for-all, and nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. And everybody, your first thing you get when you join the board at APC is an opportunity to be on the fundraising committee. Oh, lucky you. And so there's some problems with that, and those are the kinds of statements that came out too. But there is a need to divide and conquer, and allow people to choose what they do best, because we have some people who are really well known in the community and are good advocates, but they don't have time to go and sit at the health fair over at the YMCA on Saturday morning representing APC. But then there are other people who they would love to do that on Saturday morning. So we need to find those people and match up what our needs are with what their skills are. When you combine the quantitative and the qualitative results, find that the strengths overall, the results from both assessments indicate that APC has many strengths in the areas of mission, programming, and stability over time. There's strong leadership with the executive director who's in the organization. The highest averages were in mission and financial integrity. We have had clean audits since we began, and we are seen in the community as good fiduciary leaders. Areas of improvement that were identified were by both data sets was the need for board development and a board development process to be established in a hurry. Although the capacity assessment, through the capacity assessment measure, the board identified minimal capacity levels 1 and 2 in the areas of fundraising and board member participation. And the SWOT, I clarified details regarding specifically what members felt were most crucial. And this is what came out of that. A board development priorities from the surveys. The first thing we need to do is develop an onboarding process. We need to identify what needs we have. We need to develop a board contract that when we approach people and ask them to be on our board, that tells them clearly what our expectations are of them, and to discuss their expectations of us, as far as time and their financial expectations, their attendance, that kind of thing. We need to establish a nominating committee. We do not have one. And we need to develop a board member manual and an orientation process that not only is for new membership, but is ongoing so that people feel comfortable talking about Abuse Prevention Council when they are out in public and feel like that they know what they're talking about. They understand what the organization does. We also need to create those committees. A fundraising committee needs to be created, and it needs to function with board members who want to be on it, and then report back to the whole group. Although everybody is expected to participate in fundraising, I don't think it's fair to expect people to participate in all the fundraising opportunities. We need a communications committee. We need somebody to take over our website. We need somebody to help us with everything from business cards to brochures. We just got through with a fundraising process where we are just woefully inadequate when it comes to professional looking literature coming out of our organization. And we need somebody who knows how to do that. And then we need a nominating committee because we need to begin to onboard. In my written project, which I didn't share in here, but in my written project, our bylaws say that we can have 20 members. We right now have 10 members on our board and 8 of them are active. So out of a 20-member board, there's 8 people trying to keep this organization afloat. So it's become a point, to the point that it's crucial now that they establish a process. All of this is in the wake of a strategic planning meeting for the board that will occur next month, where I'm going to take all this information and present to them and just say, this is what you guys all said we need to do for the organization, and see if we can step up the process of onboarding new members, which we've already identified 5 people and have approached 5 people, but they're all asking the same question, well, what do y'all expect from us? And that has not been articulated by the group. So hopefully with their board meeting, they're going to be able to say, this is what we want, and this is how we want it, and so that we can begin to get new membership. And there's my references. So as you can see, I took it from a very different point of view, but I wanted the practice of trying to figure out how to present what the data was that I got. And it was really hard because I think I had at least 30 other slides that I got rid of because it was like, well, that's not really saying any more or any less than what I already said. And so I found that that explaining quantitative data is simple. You can do that with charts and graphs and pictures and numbers. But explaining qualitative data without a context is extremely difficult to do. The end.
How many board members do you have?
Right now we have 10 on the books and 8 who attend.
Okay.
And you need 20.
Well, the bylaws allow for 20. The most that they've ever had, I think, was 14.
Okay, so you're trying to recruit the other people?
Yeah. And those people left because of this horrendous experience of raising the $2 million. It was just so time-consuming and arduous that, everybody wanted to take a break.
Right.
But, we raised enough money to build the building, but we didn't raise any money to put furniture in it.
Oh, got you.
And so that's, you know, that's next.
Well, let me ask you this. You have several furniture stores and all of that around. I can't believe that they did not, contribute to, to the fund. I mean, if you built the building, have you guys looked into that?
Well, remember too that, yes, we are now doing a huge capital campaign where we're trying to get people to purchase a room and furnish it, you
Okay.
know? And so, yeah, that's all ongoing fundraising. But you have to remember that we get a tremendous amount from the community and from the churches as far as the shelter. I don't think our food bill is more than $5,000 a year. And we are full to capacity with, I want to say 24 people, my mothers and children, year round. And so, yes, we get donations from a variety of different sources. But in this case, the board is responsible for the mortgages. And so, you can get rent from a grant, but not very much. And we, of course, have a strategic goal to pay off the mortgages.
Okay.
Because we're going to sell the shelters and the administrative office, which is this really cool old home in downtown Shelby, one of those big, antebellum places. And so we will sell those, and that will help move us towards paying off our debt. But we would like very much to live pretty much mortgage free.
Right.
Because that will help us to sustain our nonprofit long term. Then all we do is raise funds for salaries and programming.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, very good. All right, who's next?
Doesn't matter. Do you want to go, Minnie? You want me to go?
I'll go.
Here you go.
So cold in here.
Are you on campus, DeAndre?
Yes, ma'am.
Did y'all see the cute pictures of Brittany and Rusty?
I did.
Yes.
When they were in the car?
Yep, and I saw one of them, somebody, must have been a family member, took them getting married on the beach. Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
Is it sharing yet?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't see it on my side. All right. So I am working with the North Carolina Housing Officers Association, which I'm a member of. In part of it, I was looking at the executive board members and the retention of them during their terms. When you look at the overall setup, there's 17 members on the board. One position is a 3-year position, which is the president-elect, president, and then past president, so it's a 3-year term. And then you have 2 positions that are 2-year terms, which are the chair select for the professional development. They start there, and then the next year they move to the professional development chair, the same as the conference chair select. They're there for a year, and then they move up to the conference chair. Reason being is those are positions that they need training in order to handle things. So the professional chair, development chair, is the one who organizes programming, looks at our competencies, looks at our best practices, and creates programming around that. So it's a 2-year position in learning it. Overall, when we look, most are either 2-year or 1 year. Of these, 8 are elected positions, and then we have 4 that are appointed by the executive board, and then we have 4 that are transitional positions, and then we have 1 that is selected by the host committee. Of these, all of them vote except for the chair select and the professional, the conference chair select. When we look at it overall, it is set up so that you're only switching 7 to 8 members per year so that you can retain that knowledge that's on the board in order to understand the process and the membership, but also keep everybody at the same level. So the way I collected data is I reviewed the executive board archives for their meetings. I had personal email correspondence that I was able to review. I conducted 2 personal interviews with individuals that are current members and have a history with the organization. And then I reviewed the policy. The concern, though, was there is a high turnover rate in this organization. Expected versus actual. When I began looking at it, and I only used a 3-year period because when I was looking at the data for the past years, because there had been some transition in the past above that 3-year period, some of the notes weren't what I needed in order to actually use them. So there were some things missing, so I didn't feel that I could actually put that information in here. What I did is I took 3 years. So you have 2 even years and 1 odd year. Number 2 is an odd year. The dark pink is what we expected. So when you're looking at the overall, we expect about 41% in an even year of the board will transition off and new will come on. And then on an odd year, it'd be 43% or 46% because it's the 8-person year. What we actually were seeing was a greater amount of people transitioning during the year, up to 70% in year 1. Actually, it was 82%. Year 2 was 76%, and then year 3 was 64%. So we were seeing a much greater increase in transitioning outside of what we were expected. And we weren't sure exactly why this is happening overall until I actually saw this in this form. I didn't realize how many people were transitioning on and off the board. I never thought about it in that term. So we started talking about, through the notes and talking with the members, why people were leaving. And they basically fell into 4 categories. Personal reasons. They left the field of housing, but they stayed in higher education. They had a job opportunity at the institution outside of NCHO, so they moved states. Or there were changes in leaderships at their home institutions that caused them to leave the housing organization. So yellow, which is that little one up there, is about 8%, and that is for personal reasons. So sickness, family issues, they just were no longer able to serve on the board for those, that personal reason. The orangey color right here is they left the field of housing, but they stayed in higher education. So what we see a lot in the housing field is we see individuals come in, and because it is a 24/7 position, a lot of times they're on call all the time, they burn out in this field. They want to stay in higher education, but they go on to serve as diversity coordinators, or they go into the other side of the educational institutions. And so we lose a lot of our talent that way. A job opportunity at an institution outside. So unfortunately, because people are at these levels, we're advertised, we travel, we talk with people, they know who we are, we're headhunted for other organizations, part of it. And several of the individuals who left went on to institutions. They stayed within our region, but they went to institutions where they were moving up in positions. So they went from an associate director to a full-time director or a senior director in housing. And then that really dark pink color is changes in leadership at home institutions. And these are things where you have a new president comes in and he cleans house. So basically he fires everybody that's at that institution and brings in his own crew in order to work there. North Carolina Central was a part of this. The president, he just finished his president year. In his past president year, when he was finishing up, they had a new president, and he went through and he let everybody pretty much go in the senior positions, and there was changeover. And this has happened in several positions where the leadership at the institution has changed, and it's no longer been a situation where that individual can stay with the organization at that level. So that gave us a little more opening eye, because there's some things we don't have control over. The external factors, when we were looking at this, the 3 years we were talking about are 2016, 2015, and 2013. In those time periods, and we had some changes in our state government laws and policies. The bathroom law came into effect, which affected housing overall across the states. We had transitions at the home institutions. We had changes in our federal government and policies, the work law, where you could only work 40 hours a week unless you made $47,000 a year.
$96.
That, although it wasn't enacted while this was going on, it was a discussion that was going on that was affecting individuals that we had no control on. Personal reasons, health, family, etc. Decrease involvement in the chief housing officers. The chief housing officers are the top dogs in the housing at each level. I am considered a chief housing officer. DeAndre is considered a chief housing officer. So we're over a program, and then we have people that we are developing to take on leadership positions. And what we have seen is these senior administrators are no longer participating in this organization. They've stepped away. And then opportunities to serve on boards at regional and international levels. So in today's society, where meetings are more online, there's funding, the younger, newer generation of the housing officers has opportunities at higher levels, at those regional and international levels to serve. And so they're no longer serving at this lower level, because it is one of the ways they're stepping stones to make it to a higher position. What I found was I didn't have enough data. We weren't collecting any data on why people were leaving. It was just word of mouth, which is okay. But when we sat down and started looking at it, there were some things that would help us to determine what is going on in some of the positions. So in the future, we're going to gather how many years they've served in this field, professional level at their home institution. If you are a graduate assistant at your institution, the likelihood of you moving on in less than 2 years is much greater than if you're a higher level person. Their current educational level, if they're at a bachelor's level and they're in the process of working on their master's, a year into it, within a year they may be changing. Their anticipated educational level, are they working on a doctorate, a master's, or some form of other education? The level of funding from their home institution, and where this comes in is particularly for your HBCU schools, so your historically Black college and universities. When I was looking at the information, that position changed over quite a bit from due to lack of support and lack of funding for the person serving in it. So they just weren't able to attend the meetings. An example was when we had our conference at Carolina University, which is on the other side of the state, well, that required not only traveling across the state, but also hotel rooms and time away from the position and then time coming back. Overall, it was a very expensive conference because of that, and they may have not had that funding or support from their home institution. Professional organizations that they are members of, and what level of involvement are they? Are they on committees? Are they just a member? Or how are they utilizing that? Also, that would be beneficial to know where our resources are. Another thing is I'm creating an exit survey for the board so that we have more information on when they're leaving. So when they come in, we're going to gather new data, and we're going to track that data. And then when a person leaves, whether it's early due to some reason, or they're leaving because it is their turn to transition off the board, we're gathering some information or some data from them. So their educational level that they're now at as they're leaving. If they're leaving the position outside of the expected term and they're going for another professional position, where is that at and what level will they be at when they get there? What were their achievements during the term? What were the challenges? Ways to improve the board? And then, of course, the reasons for leaving. When we looked at the board, although it's a very structured board, we have policy books, we have, Robert's rules in the meetings, we vote on everything, we have our quorums. But when it came down to actually collecting data on what we do and where we do, basically we evaluate our conferences, we evaluate events that we do, and that's it. That's all we do. So part of this position is actually creating more ways to capture data that has been missing in the past. Questions?
Nice.
I know it's a little short.
Oh, no, very detailed. Nice.
Let me ask a question.
Okay.
Go back to the purpose of your study is to track turnover.
To see, well, retain the members, but also we're tracking the turnover because we expect turnover every year.
Right.
And we have the board split based on their position. So if you look at the positions, you
Right.
have odd years, even years, yearly they are switching positions. So we're expecting turnover in an even year of 7 people leaving the board and 7 new people coming on the board. In odd years, 8 people leaving the board and 8 new people coming on the board. But what we saw was 15 people leaving the board in year number 3 and 14 in year number 2.
Whoa.
So we had a much greater turnover rate because people were leaving before their terms. And that's what I knew people were leaving, but I didn't realize how many people were leaving. So basically we were turning over a large percentage of our board, losing our knowledge that we needed in order to run the board, or if we didn't fulfill the position. So say as a president-elect or past president, I have to leave the state to go to another position. That position wasn't filled. Other members took over those responsibilities. Therefore, these are all volunteered, unpaid positions. So you're doing your own job in your real world, and then you're doing this on the side. And then if somebody leaves, you're covering that position until somebody else comes in.
Right.
So the amount of turnover was overwhelming for the board.
Right.
Right.
I get that part. Go to your next slide.
This one or this one?
The next one beyond that one.
This?
Yeah, that goes to that one.
Okay.
Okay. Changes in leadership at home institutions, job opportunity at institution outside, left the field of housing, stayed in higher ed. Now, this was the point of my question.
Okay.
How was this data collected?
This was collected through personal emails that I actually have, as well as talking to 2 other members of the board that have been on the board and knew about why people had left. So it was through the interview process and then through the email documentation.
Okay. So you don't have a formal process of exit interview. This was just.
There has been no formal exit interview process. All that was known was we lose a lot of people. Oh, this person's moving or transitioning. This person's doing this. This person's leaving housing and going to do the women's center,
Right.
which we actually had. So people were leaving, but we weren't really doing exit interviews to find out why they're leaving and where they were going and what we could do to retain positions or look for in those positions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty standard because my organization that I'm in is called CUHO. That's the exact same organization as NCHO for the state of Virginia. And we have people that just that are just up and leaving, and there's no exit interview process. No. So the right that means doing this is bringing that to light that every state organization for the housing officers needs an assessment coordinator, and that needs to be a part of their assessment. Because this summer we lost our past president, our president, and our president-elect, and we were just sitting at the table like, what did we do? Because those 3-year terms were all gone. The president-elect had just got the position and moved to another department. Our past president got another job in another state because her job was replaced and wiped out, and the past president moved to first year experience, and our constitution said you have to work in housing and residence life. So we lost all these people. There was no exit interview. We only knew it from word of mouth from kind of the executive board members that were left. And we were sitting there like, what are we going to do to run this organization?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I guess my overall point here is it seems, of course, I don't want to refer to your data as anecdotal, but your data needs to be a little firmer. There needs to be a process. It just can't be. You need to have a method of data collection here. What keeps nagging me at the back of my mind is Hertzberg. Everybody knows Frederick Hertzberg, who is kind of the father of motivational theory. And Hertzberg spoke to satisfiers and dissatisfiers. And one of the things that leaders of organizations need to understand is you can't be a satisfier. You can be a dissatisfier. But where people derive their satisfaction is from the job itself. And what I'm wondering is are people leaving? The reasons that they give for leaving. There's something underlying that makes them want to leave or jump at the first opportunity that they get. I'm wondering if it isn't rooted in Hertzberg theories of dissatisfaction with job conditions. Don't know, but that's some sort of a conceptual framework in there somewhere that speaks to, yes, you've got turnover and it's for these, here are the stated reasons, but it appears that there might be something deeper, that job satisfaction is poor with these types of jobs. And so that's why people get out of the jobs. And of course, when they get out of the jobs, they leave the organization. But there's a bigger, deeper underlying problem here, it seems to me, For the organization itself, it's a big problem that there's a lot of turnover in the organization. But it seems the basis of that is a lot of people are leaving that line of work.
Well, part of the problem is right now in this field, in the higher level positions, people have been there forever. So in order for a person to move up, they've had to transition out to other areas. Now, in the next 5 years, pretty much across the state, in the state level, you'll see probably a 100 to a 90% turnover in the top housing people because they're retiring.
Right.
So one of the issues is with this field, like many fields, is once they're in the top position, they stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mindy, what does your organization do to prepare everybody for these upcoming opportunities, as well as get these people who are leaving for y'all to access what kept them in the job for 30 years, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, I just sent out a survey, our needs assessment survey went out on July 7th. So we're just starting to get the information back on the needs assessment survey. So we had another, the last needs assessment survey was done in 2009. And so basically we're doing a needs assessment right now. This year, in the positions of the president-elect, president, and past president have finished out their terms for the past, including this year. So there's a little more stability. So we're actually, I would say, headhunting senior housing people to step back away from the national and international and regional levels and come back into this level of support for the younger generation so that they're prepared.
And just to piggyback on what you said, Barbara, too, one thing I think what Mindy said about people are getting ready to retire within the next 5 years or so, but you have this new millennial, myself included, that they stay in a role as long as they feel like they're being challenged and they grow. So people nowadays with the millennials that are coming up, they move quickly to different roles that they feel like they can go to do, or like Dr. Lim said, the object at this age until you get a 40 or 50 is to make money. So the millennials are moving more than the baby boomers have in the past, because they got to one job and they started as a hall director, then moved up to an assistant director, and they was at that institution. Everybody that's 30 and 45 years, they put in their work and they were loyal to that one institution, whereas they're not doing that.
Right.
They're doing the 3 to 5 or the 7 to 10 years and they're out.
Right.
So I think it's a problem that we're just kind of really dealing with now with the millennials that we haven't had to deal with because baby boomers stayed there and there was always that stability in place.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. People are leaving for a reason, and it speaks to job satisfaction. They're not challenged anymore. There's a better opportunity. They don't see the opportunity for advancement. People don't sit around and wait like they one time did. That's why you think about Hertzberg's motivation. What motivates people? When you go back to Hertzberg, you find out that it seems to me that in this line of work, people that folks are going to be leaving a lot, that you're going to have a lot of turnover, that's going to be the nature of this business, that people are looking for or searching for something else. That very quickly they don't, this doesn't seem to be a lifelong kind of thing for folks anymore.
And part of the thing is when you look at these types of positions, when people are settled down and they're starting to have families, it's difficult to have small children and be on call 24/7.
Right.
They leave this field.
That would be a dissatisfier.
Yeah.
I'd say getting a call at 2 a.m. if you've got small kids would be a dissatisfier.
Yeah.
And that would drive people out of this business. So now the whole point of me bringing this up is if the working conditions are such that it's going to drive turnover always, it would. I don't know that you can change the working conditions, but you may have to change the makeup, composition, the operations of the board.
Right.
Well, and that is one of the things that we are doing right now. We are reaching out to those senior people who have been here forever to try to bring them back in to this level. Like if you look at Alan Blattner, who is the Chief Housing Officer at University of North Carolina, he's also the past president of our international organization. And so a lot of the people that are under him, instead of staying with the state organization, they went with him to do things at the international level because he's with it. So that's the other issue. We're known for having presidents at our regional and international level, and that pulls those people up with them away from this level.
Yeah, and the issue is that North Carolina has so many institutions. I mean, they are one of I just came back from a fraternity convention, and we're divided into 12 regions, and the state of North Carolina is one region alone, and it has just as much members in just that one state of North Carolina as like the whole Western region, which is like 5 or 6 states. It's so concentrated with institutions, and we have more undergraduate members in North Carolina than any other school because than any other region. It's so concentrated. So people from North Carolina really go places and do things, and their teams and their staff members tend to follow them.
Well, and part of this, because we have not been, there wasn't a lot of data to get without looking at, the previous things that the minutes of I used a lot of the minutes information. We just didn't they hadn't gathered a lot of data in that sense. They've done a lot of events and a lot of trainings, but as far as gathering data on the membership, that's not something that they've done.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have an idea, and it's actually counterintuitive. But as I'm sitting here listening to this, one of the things that I'm thinking is a 3-year commitment, while offers stability, a 3-year commitment might keep people from coming back to your organization. I mean, the idea of the 3-year commitment is to have continuity and to bring institutional memory along with you, but that may be one of the reasons why folks get out is it's a 3-year commitment. That's a lot.
Well, and that it is hard to do a 3-year commitment. I've done that. The other thought process, I've done more than a 3-year commitment, unfortunately. The other thought process is that you have the 2-year positions where people get their feet wet, so they learn about it, and then they want to apply for the bigger positions to be elected. So either you have the people that come and go, or you have a person that stays there forever and they just switch from position to the next position. They never leave that board.
But to DeAndre's point, folks move so much now and so much for younger people. 3 years sounds like 1,000,000 years to them.
It does.
I mean, 3 years to people of my generation, I mean, that's just an eyelash. That's a bat of an eye. But to somebody who's in their 20s, in their 30s, 3 years sounds like 30. They plan to be moving on in 3 years, much less, being this, So
yeah, I was going to say most positions, especially the entry-level positions in our field, are 1 to 3 years. So if you get somebody for 3 years in an entry-level, you've done great by keeping them for 3 years.
Exactly. And then you expect to.
Then I think I have an old co-worker that worked at Norfolk State. She's worked in Norfolk State as a hall director. She's been in that hall director position for 31 years, and she loved it. She didn't want to move up. She didn't want to do anything else. She loves that position. And I started working under her as a graduate assistant, and now I'm an assistant dean, and she's still in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys need to look at another configuration for your organization. Like my professional organization in early childhood, because we are so huge, and we have everything from daycare providers to public school teachers to people with doctorates at all the universities, that the organization moved from doing the work, the board doing the work and setting up the conference and everybody showing up, to being a conduit for information. They divided the state into 3 parts, and there are representatives from the East, the Piedmont, and the West. And within those groups, they have meetings, and everything funnels to the board. And then they have a large statewide meeting that has every level, from people on the university level who are doing research in early childhood, to people from the national organization who are coming and talking about what you can get, benefits you can get from being in the national organization. But we moved from being doers to being, we produce a newsletter monthly that tells everybody about the new legislation and about the new things, and there's always a highlighted program of somebody who's doing really good. It's all about helping people find jobs. I know you can list a daycare can list job openings, the university can list job openings through the North Carolina Association for the Education of Young Children. There's a name. But it is something that, whether you are in the classroom teaching or you are actually a college professor teaching people in early childhood, there's a place for you at the conference, and there's a place for you within the board, which functions to sort of pay attention to each of those individual groups and have something for everybody.
We do quite a bit, like, although the conference hosts are on the board, they're there to update, but it's a group of people that are doing it, and they rotate the conference from, this year it's in the Western, it's at Asheville. Last year it was in the middle at Winston-Salem. The year before it was East Carolina. So we go East, Middle, West, Middle, East. So they do rotationals, and then in that, I think part of the problem is there are so many other organizations that they can go to. So our regional organization, when I first started in this, you had about 300 to 400 people show up. Now when you go to our regional conference, it's 600 to 700. Our national conference is thousands. So they're getting the funding to go do those conferences, where when I started, I had a travel budget of $50. Which got
that won't even get you out your driveway.
No. So, the first regional conference I went to was in Hilton Head, and there was 400 people there. Last time I went, it was in Mobile, Alabama, and there were 700 people. So they're not going to the regional conferences as much because they want to go to the state conferences. They want to go to the regional conferences.
And it's still
because they put it on the resume, they present it, they go and they make those contacts. So when they are looking for a job, they're connected already.
Right.
I understand.
I feel like that maybe just that your group is narrow, and that you need to think about who are other professionals that do similar work, or that everybody moves up into. Where are they going? And could you have a spot for them? So rather than them leaving because they're no longer the housing director, they stay because it's all about student life and orientation.
Part of it is every third year we do a joint conference with the North Carolina College Professionals. So it's anybody that is works in the professional. So your orientation,
Student services, all that
Student
stuff.
services, they all come. So this is the year for that. And so that makes it different as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting problem.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens with technology. I really don't think that we're going to continue to have these meetings where people travel and pay for hotel rooms and stuff like that. I really think it's going to be, you get the agenda and people pop on to like a Zoom session like this, and there are people all over everywhere that are attending that session, just like you would at a hotel, but you're in your office and you're not costing the university anything to attend.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me unshare my screen.
All right.
Oh, there it is. Stop sharing. There you go.
All right, DeAndre.
DeAndre!
Okay. Let me see, which one do I do?
Push share screen and then pull up your PowerPoint.
There you go.
Oh, y'all can see it?
Uh-huh.
Oh my.
Okay, so my presentation, or my consultancy, I'm focusing on the retention of African American male students at Avery. And we noticed that was a problem around the fall of 2015, and we've been working to try to remedy that problem, but also save the institution some funding.
Mm-hmm.
So I did mine a little differently. I think everyone had their own twist with it, but I kind of started with the basics to look at, the descriptive versus inferential statistics. And we know that the descriptive statistics, they organize and describe mean, median, mode, which are the measures of essential tendency. And then we looked at the inferential statistics that infer characteristics. And we talked about the different types of tests in class, ANOVA, multivariate analysis, or regression analysis. So I'll just give a little bit of background. Avery University is a small private. They have about 900 students, been around Danville, Virginia since 1859. They're really focused on recruiting athletes. And it's a Division III school, but athletes are their thing. So they pretty much got any sport that you can think of. I know they just added men's wrestling this year. Next year they're thinking about adding women's wrestling. They have men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse. They have softball, men's tennis, women's tennis, baseball, men's basketball, women's basketball, golf, men's golf, women's golf. You name it, they got it. And that's why, students come to Avery to play these sports, because they didn't get into their first choice of institution. And like all small colleges, they're enrollment driven. So they're focused on how can we make money to balance our budget. And their endowment is about $25 million the last time I checked. So they have talk about qualitative versus quantitative. I know that's the whole theme of this course, and we've kind of been beating that horse. But we know that qualitative research is basically interviews, observations, field work. We know that quantitative is more survey results, trending data, comparison data. So Avery College, as it first started, was an all-women school, and they didn't start accepting men until about the late 70s to early 80s. So with my whole project being the retention of African American men and being started as an all-girls school, and now you're having a problem to retain men. But now when you look at it, there are more men enrolled at the school than women. And it started as an all-women school. So just to give you just some history of kind of Avery, this building that you see is main building. This is the first building that was built on campus, and it was the only building. So it was the administration, the residence halls, everything was in this one building called Main Hall. And that's how the campus started with this one building. They haven't done any renovations or anything since. So this is the breakdown of the administration. So there's the president, executive vice president of finance, vice president of institutional advancement and development. There's a vice president of enrollment, and then there's a vice president of academic and student affairs. And then under that person, there's the dean of students, and the dean of students, who is serving as my consultancy advisor, supervisors housing, residence life, student conduct, student engagement, orientation, Greek life, health and wellness, Title IX, mailroom operations, spiritual life, and counseling. So all of those departments come under that one person as the dean of students. When I was at Averett working as the director of housing, residence life, I was also in charge of student conduct and mailroom operations as well, just to kind of give y'all a little bit of that background. But when you look at the people in these positions, what do you notice or what jumps out to you? You know, the people in the administrative positions as far as their educational attainment.
Right, the majority of them do not have an advanced degree.
Okay.
The two of them. One, the vice president of academic affairs have a PhD, and your president has an EDD.
Okay. So is there a problem with that? Is that a red flag?
I mean, like,
No, but
I would
it's right. I would say that it suggests that either those people have been there for a long, long time, or they knew somebody. I mean, to be of a college with a BA degree means that you either have a building with your name on it, or you've been there since time began.
Okay. Okay, but it's something that rubbed you into the direction of, well, I wonder how that person got that position with that level of education. Okay.
I think also, though, it is, when you look at it, you have 900 students. You're not going to be able to pull in people with advanced degrees for those positions because you're not going to have the money to pay for them. Because with 900 students and that many people, that's a lot of people that you're having to hire to run that facility. Most people say you need to have 1,200 to 1,300 just to be comfortable. 900 says that you're struggling financially each year because of the number of students you have paying the bills.
Okay.
What does that suggest about Gardner Webb?
I thought about
they're not that smart either.
Because I Dr. Land riled up.
Don't get me started now.
Okay, so the statement of my problem. So with all the student-focused initiatives that are surrounding the retention of African American males has been an issue that's worthy of discussion, not only at Averett but throughout the country. African American males are not retaining well in college and university settings in relation to their, or in comparison to their counterparts, whether white males, white women, Black females. So that's an issue, not just at Averett, but that's an issue everywhere. And particularly my consultancy advisor with the research they conducted prior to my arrival, between the fall 15 and spring 16, they lost 78 students. 1/3 of the students that were lost were African American males.
Wow.
All right. What, as a percentage of the population at Averett, what percentage are African American males?
There is 21% of the population, which is about 186 students.
186 students.
Mm-hmm.
And you lost 28 or 29.
Mm-hmm. So that's a significant portion of them.
And so, as a percentage of the population, how many African American males were there?
186.
186. So you lost about
29 of them.
29. About 15%.
How much?
Is that about
Yeah, it was about 15, 16%.
15%?
Okay.
All right. And so,
When compared to the counterparts,
all
it was
right. Okay, so that's about 16%. Let's do a little math here. About 16% of African American males left. Go back to that last slide.
Oh, sorry.
All right, that's okay. And you lost 78 of how many total enrollment? About 900.
Yeah, well, the 900 is including the
Right, and you lost 78 overall. So you lost about 12% overall. No, wait a minute, I'm wrong. You lost about 8%. So what you're saying is the average, the college average attrition was about 8%, but 16% of African American males. So they dropped out at twice the rate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That would be a good thing to put on your slide, by the way. I mean, really, that's your hook. Seriously, when you do your statement of problem, you need a hook. That's what we call it in the business. You can actually Google that term. In research, you need a hook in your statement of the problem. And while these numbers on the screen are compelling, 1/3 were lost. What's really compelling is if you had another bullet down there that said African American males dropped out at twice or 2 times the rate of the rest of the students in the college. That would be a sock in the nose.
Okay.
That's your hook.
Okay.
Right there. That makes this much more compelling if you added that bullet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's really good stuff, though. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't resist that opportunity. I'm
it's fine. I got some more data too throughout. I don't think I got it organized as I wanted, as organized as I would have liked. But so this is the new student center. This is the newest building on campus. This is what students have wanted. Prior to this, they had a couple of classrooms that were designated as student areas of campus for students to hang out. And this building was constructed in 2012. And it's in use all day, every day. You know, the students come, the students hang out in it, and then the administration is in the question, well, this is what the students want. Well, how do you know this is what the students wanted? I mean, did you ask the students that they want a student center, or did you build the student center because you thought that's what you needed on your campus? You know, did you inquire about what to put in the student center by asking the actual students themselves? You know, so this is something that was billed as a retention initiative, and I think it inadvertently met some of the goals of retaining the students, but keeping the students involved, they are your constituents. So keeping the students involved in the decision on things like this is what's going to help the retention.
Okay.
So this is my question. What are the factors that affect the retention of African American male students at A. Rich University? So I did some national research, looked at the United States News and World Report, reasons that students leave college, family problems, loneliness, academic struggles, lack of motivation. I'm gonna move y'all because y'all are in the way. Okay, perfect. So unsatisfactory academic process was one of the main reasons that students left. They either stopped going to class, or they were going to class and were not doing well in class. So we have a student success center on campus. So that was one of the things I started to looking into, was tracking the progress and how many students were coming into the student success center to actually get the assistance that your office offers to students. Why are students not going to class? There were certain cases where some students that stopped going to class, they missed 20 consecutive days of class. They were just administratively withdrawn. And we called them and say, hey, actually, you're not even enrolled anymore because you didn't go to class for the past 20 days. So we dropped you. So why aren't students going to class? Why are you $41,000 and not going to class? And I think too, one of the biggest things is that the institution is investing a lot of money in or retaining these students. They invest $2,100 per new student to recruit them into the institution. And for you to pay that per student, and you're losing so many after the first semester or after the first year, you're not getting a return on your investment.
Andre, just one comment.
Okay.
Are they leave the university or transfer to another university or just leave the education system?
I'm gonna get to that, Hazim, but there are several reasons why they left. But I'm gonna get to the reasons. It's about 7 or 8 different reasons that they reported that they left.
I mean, they transfer to another university or just they leave the education at all.
Well, some of them left the university and transferred. Some of them had to go deal with family problems. Some had academic struggles. Some were injured. So it's a number of different reasons why they left. And I have some more data further down that I'll show exactly kind of to quantify.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So when students leave Avery University, there's a 10-question exit survey that they're given to fill out. And to me, that was a convenient sampling technique for me, because I just went and got that data from the dean of students to kind of work with and build my case. And that data was, I exported that into an Excel file, so it was convenient for me to access. And this is the information that's requested on that survey. They asked for that ID number, their official date of separation from the university, the prefix name, whether they're Ms., Mr., first, middle, last name. The most important thing was the reason that the individual actually left the university. And then we asked about their involvement on campus and clubs and organizations to see if that was a factor. If they were involved or if they were not involved on campus, does that contribute to you not returning the next semester? We looked at their involvement in the university's conduct system. Have they been in trouble? Have they come to school just to smoke pot? Is that a factor of you not returning? And then we looked at if the participant indicated if they wanted to come back to the university in the future. So as far as quantitative evaluation, like I just said, we had the students complete the exit survey, asking why they were leaving the institution. And as far as qualitative, we got the self-report data and the responses of why. Why did you leave? So this is what we were talking about earlier, Hazim. So these are the reasons why they left. So I'm colorblind and my numbers do not show up. But this piece of the pie that's kind of sticking out the most, this is academic issues. So they were having trouble with schoolwork. They came to college unprepared. They didn't go to class. And then the next two largest regions they were bored or unhappy with the services that the university had to offer, and they had some financial issues that they were experiencing. So it was 23% academic, and it was 17% bored / unhappy. The other 17% was financial. And then transferring and homesickness transferring was No, the mixed digit features, which is right here, is just 13%, was family issues. So they had to go home and take care of mom and dad. Mom and dad got sick, couldn't take care of the younger siblings, so they had to go home and take care of those duties. And then transfer was right here, and
It looked like medical leave.
yeah, medical leave. I'm colorblind, so these colors are killing me. and then the last three, which was only one student. One of them went to the United States Army. One of them they just wanted to take a leave of absence. They just felt that their mom wasn't ready for college right now. They wanted to take some time off and revisit it later. And one of them was just homesick, and they wanted to go back home.
Okay.
So these are the reasons that self-report that they said that they left. And then this is just more of a just kind of an analysis of that. So 17% of the students left because they were bored with the institution and not happy with the services. This has a mind of its own. Another 17% had left because they had to go take care of family issues at home. 13% left because they just wanted to transfer to other institutions, either because they wanted to go to another institution from the start and didn't have the grades to get in. But why would you transfer to an institution after only being there for a semester? You know, if you come in knowing that you were going to transfer, if so, why would you spend $20,000 to transfer somewhere else and lose your credits? So 13% of the students just indicated that they transferred. There are reasons why people transfer institutions. 9% reported that they left for financial reasons that they couldn't afford. They had to go somewhere cheaper. 9% were injured or hurt and were granted medical withdrawals. And then these are the last three. It was homesickness, enlisted in the United States Army, and leave of absence with hopes of returning. And then we looked at, there were 48% that were not involved in anything else on campus while attending. So 48% were just strictly students. And then 48% were members of the football team. So almost 50% of the students were African American males that were on the football team that were not retained.
Do you know if they pay tuition and fees or do they go for free?
Oh, they pay tuition and fees. It's a Division III. They pay just like every other student. The only thing they do is they say that they play football for a Division III school, but they don't get any scholarship money.
Okay.
Then I looked at the student code of conduct violations for each of those students to see if they had been involved, and that was not a significant indicator on if they were going to come back or not. So it was one student that was involved who was charged for violating the conduct code on at least one occurrence. So what does all this mean? What do I need to do to help this problem? So one of the things that I worked on was creating a scholarship database to provide scholarship information for African American male students. The second thing was improving the faculty staff mentorship opportunities that were available. What I was finding is that these students, the listed students, were not connected anywhere on campus, so they didn't have mentors on the faculty and staff that looked like them. And I know Avery University only had one African American faculty member, so they didn't have faculty and staff members that looked like them. Created a position that coordinates diversity and multicultural education initiatives. What are you doing student engagement wise to engage these students in your population? What are you doing to make sure that they're getting their money's worth and that they're able to get their fair share of involvement as their counterparts? Educating these African American males regarding their ability to receive the free, well, not free, but the academic resources that they pay for on campus. why do we have 50 tutors just sitting in the lab twiddling their fingers and nobody's being tutored? And then organizing a committee to meet regularly to discuss the current state of these males and their success as students. So with that, as the consultant, I joined the university's early alert team, and that team met weekly to just identify issues with students, whether they were academic, social, family, or other personal issues. And the people that we invited, that were a part of that meeting, were the director of student success, who's over the tutors, the writing consultants, the dean of students, the director of counseling, the director of health and wellness, and the Title IX coordinator, the director of housing and residence life, which was myself at the time, and the assistant to the athletic director. And all six of those professionals touched all of those students in one way. So we were able to go down the list and see if student success had any updates, if counseling had any updates, if housing and residence life had any updates, if athletics had any updates, since 48% of them were football players. And that really allowed us to really hit the student on all different levels of the campus community and see where they were falling short of. And it allowed for us to actually intervene and come up with a personal plan to help the student stay at the university. So the director of student success was our liaison to their faculty members. So if they were missing classes or had low test grades, we knew about it. If they were involved in conduct, myself and the dean of students, we knew about it. If they got kicked off the football team, the assistant to the athletic director knew about it and told us about it. If they were experiencing some emotional distress, the counseling person knew about it. If they were involved in a Title IX incident or had some significant health issues, the director of health and wellness knew about it. So we were able to easily start intervening to save some of these students. And then, in addition, I was approved to hire a graduate assistant to focus on the diversity and inclusion initiatives for the university, and that cost for that position was $41,300. And that is broken down into the tuition, the board, the room, and the stipend. And as a result of that, a Black Student Association was actually started by students. When this person came in, we had let students know that we were hiring this position and posted it. And a group of the African American male students particularly wanted to come and kind of start this position running off the ground. So they actually partnered with another university nearby that had a BSA on campus already, and they wrote their constitution and got it started. And this new graduate assistant position just started on July 1st to kind of come in, and that person would serve as their advisor, and they have some budget money to kind of take them on trips and do some of those cultural enrichment activities with them. So these are just two updates from that. I will tell you, this is the national average for 4-year institutions from year 1 to year 2. And this is, I looked at one of our, well, not really our counterparts, but Morehouse College in Atlanta, that has a really high retention rate of their African American males. And that's because they are HBCU, that's an all male HBCU. So everybody they have on campus is African American males. So naturally they're going to have a higher retention. But even when you look at theirs from the national average, it's a little bit of a difference. There are obviously schools that have more prestige that probably have a 100% retention rate of African American males. Well, if you only have 2 enrolled at Harvard, it's not hard to retain them. So this is just kind of showing you how it has been up and down. The national average over 4 years. In 2007, it was as high as 85%. In 2011, it was 86%, and it just kind of remained steady. And that's pretty much it. These are my references.
All right.
All right.
Hey, hey, DeAndre,
Yes, ma'am.
you was naming all the sports that Avery does, but you
Uh-huh.
mentioned one that they're very known for.
There's not really, because they're Division III, so they're not like the kids that are going to the NFL and to the NBA. They're just the students that want the experience of playing college sports.
But I thought
Essentially.
equestrian was one of your programs.
Well, equestrian is not really considered a sport. It's an academic discipline.
It's a club.
It's
Mhm.
It's a club
It's a
sport.
club.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you that they are really, well, equestrian, they don't have any males in that program at all. And it's not that it's closed for males, but no males have that interest. But they are one of the number 2 equestrian programs on the East Coast, and they just won an award at the National Equestrian Conference in Denver, Colorado. So their equestrian program is booming. Their aviation program is one of 3 on the East Coast. And that's a program that's really booming. But once again, there are not a lot of African American males that have interest in aviation or horse science.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to numbers. So
Okay.
by my calculation, 37 of the 78 African American males that you lost were on the football team. 48%, and that works out to 37 students left, African American males that were football players. 37.
No, it was 48% of the total number that was lost, which was 29.
Oh, okay. So 48% of 29. So you lost 14. 14 were football players.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My point is going to be this: in a Division III school where you have to pay to play football, if you don't get to play after your first year, most of those kids drop out that didn't see the field.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have anything to do with the college experience. It's just they were paying, they expected to play. That's part of it at Division III schools. And now that doesn't mean you ignore them, but I'm not sure that anything that you do is going to stop a kid from dropping out that's paying to play and he doesn't get to play. You know, when parents are paying, they expect their kids to get to see the field. And that's going to be, so part of when you bring in a class of freshmen and you bring in 50 football players, you understand that that's an inflated number, that you aren't going to keep all 50 of them because they're not going to get to play. And so you really can't count, you know, there is a percentage factor in that class of freshman football players that you understand that you're not going to retain because the coach is not ever going to let them see the field, you know. So
and with that percentage, what my role is, especially as a student affairs person, is to get those students involved in other things on campus.
Exactly.
They feel like it's not their life.
Yeah, because they're not going to get, you know, sorry, you bring in 50 freshman football players, they're all not going to get to play.
And none of them going to get to play.
You know, very few of them are going to get to play very much, but they're going to get to see the field from time to time. But the third teamers that are never going to see the field, you've got to make sure that you've got some things in place for them where they get involved with campus life, where they want to stay there regardless of football. I mean, but that speaks to what you're trying to do. And so, yeah, you're going to have to get all of them more involved, but specifically your football players, they're going to have to get involved in campus life more than just football because, you know, in a normal environment, 50 kids coming in the freshman class on the team, because you've got upperclassmen there, very few of them are going to get to play, and a lot of them aren't going to get to see the field. And that you lost only 14 is not bad at all, considering they're having to pay to play. So, but yeah, you don't want to lose any of them. I mean, but
yeah, that's the goal, but
it's
the reality.
in place. So, I mean, that speaks to what you're doing here is that you do need programs in place to involve all, even the ones that, because football won't do it for all of them.
Yeah, and that's why this diversity position was so key. I originally advocated for a full-time director of diversity, and they shot me down, said it's not in the budget, but I was able to squeeze out a graduate assistant and create that job description on what types of programs that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the African-American males are talking about is that there are no fraternities that they can do. I said, so that needs to be the top of this diversity person list is to do research on these fraternities, bring them to campus, and get them exposed into it.
Yeah.
That's in there. If you're a part of a fraternity, you have an identity on campus with that group, and you're less compelled to leave and go transfer somewhere else to find it because you have it here.
Yeah, you have a support system. That's correct. That's right. Now, my question is, how financially stable is this college?
They are very much tuition driven, and they are heavily reliant on the tuition. And if they don't make their number, like this year, their goal was to get 375 new students. If they didn't get 375 new students, they were going to cut budgets. But athletics has a different budget from a different pot of money.
Right.
They don't get their money cut. But the other departments were going to get cut. But they did reach their goal of 375, and they're accepting more than 375 students. Even though Avery doesn't have the beds to put them in, they're accepting more because they know that it's going to be a meltdown.
Yeah.
And within the first 2 weeks, their parents are going to say they can't do it, the homesickness, and they want to be able to drop down and still get back to 375. So prior to me leaving, I came up with several contingency plans on where to place these students at, which is going to be temporary because we know they're not going to stay. If you put a kid with 3 roommates, he's going to be gone the very next day. So hopefully, I mean, I'm going to keep tabs on it to see where they are with the enrollment. I have a call like once every month or 2 weeks or so to talk with my consultancy advisor to kind of get updates. But the last I heard, they did meet their 375 and more, which was the largest incoming class they have ever had, was 375 students. So, and they were still accepting on just to account for the.
So they're going to do freshman triples. They're going to put 3 in a room rather than 2.
Yep, there were some triples, and then we had grad students that were living on campus and campus-owned housing, and we kicked them off to live in a hotel or to find their own housing and paid them a little bit more, and we're putting students in those graduate houses, which we had to move the upperclassmen students to those houses and move the freshmen because we don't want the freshmen in houses by themselves.
Right.
And put the freshmen in the traditional halls. And handpick juniors and seniors that we know are not going to burn their house down to move into the house.
Right.
Well, if you need 375, don't take 375. Take 475. I mean,
and you figure out a problem later. Figure out the solution later.
That's right. That's exactly right. All right. Good job by everybody. I am sure, as I said to Rusty today, I am sure I will see y'all. Y'all going to be on campus in the fall?
We'll be on campus twice with Dr. Jones in September and December.
Somebody shoot me an email when y'all going to be on campus, and if I'm available, I'll get by to see you. But I'm sure I'll see you around. I've enjoyed it this semester. I've had a great time with y'all. I think I've learned more than y'all have. Of course, that's easy. If you don't know much, it's easy to learn a lot. That's always my theory. So I will see you around. Everybody have a good rest of the summer. Enjoy a couple of weeks that you've got off, and I'll see you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Bye.
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 I have a question, Dr. Lim. Real
Okay.
quick. I was looking online, and you said we needed 3,200 points. I only had 3,169. But is your number showing that, or do I need to do
No, you should. Everybody made their points. Yay.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay. I told you I can see them. Y'all can't see them. Everybody made their points. So
Okay.
I'm going to be another one of those professors who gives all A's that they don't like at Gardner Webb. But hey, if you make your points, that's all that matters.
Right.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. See y'all
Bye.
later.